Hi, my name is Reed, and this is my midterm on organ donation and feminist care ethics. I will split this podcast into 5 parts. First, I will outline organ donation and why it has become a problem. Second, I will define feminist care ethics. Third, I will propose 3 policy solutions to help solve organ donation shortages. And finally, I will see what feminist care ethics has to say about those solutions. Without further ado, Part 1. What is organ donation and why is it an issue? Organ donations are one of the most pressing issues in the field of medicine, healthcare, and bioethics. People need organ donation to survive. When people fall sick or ill, oftentimes their organs fail. In these situations, it is imperative they receive a transplant for survival. More than 100,000 people are currently on the organ transplant waitlist, and the number of people who need transplants is only increasing. Statistics show that 6 people are added to the waiting list every hour, and nearly 20 people die daily waiting for transplants. It is no wonder that many experts have weighed in on solving or offering solutions to minimize organ donation shortages. I will not look to weigh in on medical or scientific solutions to the organ transplant shortage crisis. Instead, I will use a philosophical lens to explore this topic. Specifically, I will try to apply feminist care ethics to potential policy proposals that, in theory, increase organ availability. Part 2. What is feminist care ethics? Feminist care ethics is a complex theory of ethics. It begins with the idea of feminism. Feminism isn't about women, and it isn't about difference, as Lindemann writes. It's about power. Specifically, it's about the pattern that distributes power in favor of men over women, creating and maintaining social institutions and practices that systematically put men's interests and preoccupations ahead of women's. Outside of the political ideology of feminism, feminist care ethics is derived from our feeling of having been cared for when we were young. Our warm, pleasant memories lead us to long for goodness and motivates us to care for others. Feminist care ethics also serves as a critique of many mainstream ethical theories, such as Kantian ethics and utilitarianism. For example, the feminist care ethicist resists applying universal rules in a hierarchical fashion. Think of Kant's theory of categorical imperatives. As Cohen states, Kant condemns suicide as immoral because it violates the demands of universal reason. And while he dismisses the effects of suicide on others and the particular situation of the victim as irrelevant, the care ethicist wants to hear the personal tales of the victim and those affected by the act. Before she judges the suicidal act, she wants to learn of their feelings and their thinking as part of perceiving the act in all its conceptual and emotional fullness. Kantian ethics is a classic example of a male-dominated theory of ethics that prioritizes objectivity and rationality above all else. It is not to say that feminist care ethics does not value truth or rationality, but feminist care ethics makes use of a different set of core values. Throughout my research, 5 recurring values became apparent. Number 1, opposal to self-sacrifice. The feminist care ethicist speaks for themselves and is never subject to the wants of others. They are strongly and perfectly in tune with their desires and needs. It is the art of caring while keeping oneself in mind. In this way, I equate it to Aristotle's virtue ethics, wherein a golden medium must be achieved. A feminist care ethicist does not put others first, but neither do they disregard others. A balance must be struck. The feminist ethicist listens and speaks and knows when one is better suited for the task. Number 2, care is receiving and connection. Every act of care is unique. It is dependent on the situation, including aspects like the environment and the people involved. Most importantly, it includes the act of receiving, where the person offering help must be willing to spend the time to develop a true connection with the person needing help. You must feel for others. Do not pity them, but empathize with them to create genuine communion. 3. Trust. Moral notions are not based on rules and codes, but on trust. This is once again in fundamental opposition to many main theories of ethics. In Kantian ethics, justice is valued as a code that should be followed and strived for. Justice is the ultimate goal. However, in care ethics, it is the trust you build between your peers, the understanding of common humanity, and your sincere belief in their beneficence. 4. Responsibility. Care ethics is based on a morally crucial relationship between people that have too often been ignored or dismissed by non-feminist ethicists. Feminist care ethics, although only briefly mentioned previously, has deep roots in political feminist ideology. Feminism is a broad ideology. However, it can be distilled into one creed. It is the responsibility to oppose historical systems of power and patriarchy. 5. Above all, feminist care ethics is about pluralism. Pluralism is a system in which multiple states, conditions, or groups coexist with one another. Nobody has a perfect grasp of reality relevant to the goodness of actions. Everyone sees dilemmas through their own personal experiences. An ethic that ignores this truth is not fit for general consumption. In other words, feminist care ethics embraces diversity. It keeps all values in harmony, weighing each one individually, dependent on each unique case. It is similar to the idea of relativism, where there is an acceptance of the unknown, however, with an additional duty to attempt to always do what is right. Part 3. Restrictions to organ donation and potential policy solutions. Two legal realities of the United States are the main contributors to limiting the organ donation supply. 1. No financial reward can be offered to donors. And 2. Donors must give clear, unmistakable permission to donate their organs. The Academic Crow offers 3 policy proposals to fix these problems. The first is paired donation, which allows living donors who are biologically incompatible with their intended recipients to work together with one another or in conjunction with the public waiting list to make donation possible in cases when otherwise it would not be. Simply, if person A had a friend willing to donate a kidney, but they weren't compatible, the doctor would find another patient, patient B, who also had a friend willing to donate a kidney, but was incompatible with them. Person A would receive the kidney of person B's friend, and vice versa. Paired organ donation is sometimes argued to be more like organ donation trading, which may incentivize self-sacrifice by tempting people to organ donate on the assumption that if they do, a loved one may receive a donation sooner. The second policy option is donation after controlled cardiac death. Sometimes doctors and family members determine that continuing treatment would not be beneficial for a patient. In these cases, the patient's organs may still be able to be harvested for donation. Equipping hospitals, doctors, and families with the protocols and procedures necessary to do this would increase the number of organ donations. I can think of a couple drawbacks, including doctors may begin to see near-death patients as future organ donors and deprive patients of optimal end-of-life care. Furthermore, there are many cultural hurdles to surpass. Family members may feel like they have a right to their relatives' final moments, free from a doctor's presence. The last policy option is cash payment for organ donation. There are 3 categories. First, monetary reward could be offered for people willing to donate an organ at the current point in time. They would receive immediate financial benefit. Second, some donors could sell the future rights of their organs for immediate compensation. Lastly, dead donors could appoint surrogates who would be paid at the time of organ harvest and the patient's death. The surrogates would most likely be a loved one and would become in charge of the donated organs after the patient's death. However, much like the paired donation proposal, cash payment for organs may incentivize self-sacrifice by tempting people to donate organs on the assumption that if they do, they will receive monetary compensation. This can especially prey on individuals in lower income brackets. Part 4. What does feminist care ethics have to say? Using feminist care ethics as a framework, it is clear that many solutions to the organ donation crisis are highly problematic. Paired donation and cash donation incentivize self-sacrifice, which is intolerable. As Anne Mongovin claims, organ donation is appropriately understood as sacrifice. If we return to the roots of feminist care ethics, widespread feminist concerns about the overglorification of sacrifice in the public sphere are well-founded. Because of this, overglorification of sacrifice and organ donation may lead to dangerous routinization of sacrifice and unwarranted organ donation. Again, we see a critique arise from utilitarianism. Imagine a situation where 6 people need an organ transplant, and one person, if they allowed it, would let a surgeon remove their organs, killing themselves, while saving the other 6 people. Utilitarianism would suggest this route. However, feminist care ethics, aversion to self-sacrifice, would circumvent that course of action. Feminist care ethics is built on the foundation of pluralism. Each case must be evaluated independently. In some cases, it may be possible that paired donation or cash payment for donation may result in the most ethical outcome. I view donation after cardiac death as the best solution. There is no incentivization for self-sacrifice or conflict with any of the feminist care ethics' 5 salient principles I outlined earlier. As long as the wishes of both the patient and the family of the patient are taken into account in a trusting, responsible, non-self-sacrificing, and caring way, organ donation after controlled cardiac death is the optimal policy solution for solving the organ shortage crisis. Part 5. Final remarks. In this short podcast, I've introduced the organ donation crisis, feminist care ethics, potential policy solutions to the organ donation shortage, and evaluated them through the lens of feminist ethics. I have found that feminist care ethics would support donation after cardiac arrest over the other 2 solutions of paired donation and cash payment donations. As a final thought, feminist ethics is about caring and fostering genuine relationships. It is not about universal rules or axioms, but about kindness. Moving forward, it is necessary to tread carefully and treat ethical crises on a case-to-case basis. Only then will it be possible to tackle issues like organ donation shortages equitably.